Here we have Nick Vonella. I'm pronouncing that right, right?
Yep, just like the
Yeah.
flavor spelled a little different.
I was gonna say vanilla, vanilla. Cool, man. Potato, potato.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got Nick here. Nick, I believe, is in his first year, first rolling 12 months selling insurance. I met Nick at a Cody Askins conference. It's pretty cool. We've kind of been supporting each other through our insurance journeys and social media. We're into some similar hobbies, working out, eating meat, stuff like that. So
For sure.
Nick's been crushing it in the Medicare space, and we've been talking about him learning how to do cross selling and stuff like that. But what I really want to do is introduce him because there's a lot of final expense agents out there who are going to listen to my stuff who want to start selling Medicare, want to cross sell Medicare. They know that if they're independent, they're leaving a bunch of money on the table not selling Medicare. So first, Nick sold 375 plans in his first 6 months in the business. That's pretty crazy. Like 370. I mean, that's like two a day or more average.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, agents, like some if they're like if they get like a quarter of that in a year, they're lucky. So, man, first off, how did you sell 375 plans? First of all, congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Thank you.
How did you do it?
Well, really simple, Justin. My biggest thing was purchasing enough leads and then getting on the phone. Like, as you know, if you have phone skills, you can almost dominate the world. And once I got to that level of mastery where I could pick up the phone and schedule 8 appointments in a day, going out and selling two or three a day became kind of like second nature. And then the really big thing was doing your numbers, understanding how this business works. The beautiful thing about insurance is there's a number for everything. Like, we know for a fact that you should be able to convert Medicare leads somewhere at that 20 to 40%. The good agents are in the high end, the not so great agents are on a little bit lower end or even lower than that. So all I did was I said, all right, I need to make, 10 sales a week. That was my goal. And every single time I made a sale, I would ask for a referral. And that referral, you'd be amazed how many people would be like, oh, I know my brother or my sister or somebody, who else would want to know about this? And literally just have them, you know, pass my information on, and I'd get people calling me, hey, I want to know about this. And it was like, it was amazing. It just very, very quickly grew to easily doing, 15 sales a week. And then you just consistently hit that number every week. And, by the end of the year, I look at it and I'm like, wow, I've done almost like 400 of these. Like, that's pretty awesome. And, this January, I got my first renewal check, and it was like, this is more awesome. I just got money for not doing this work anymore. So it really broke down that way pretty simply. I'd say the other big thing was scheduling. So, like, I stick to a very strict schedule. Every day I get up right around the same time. I make sure I fill out my calls. Tuesday I call all day for Wednesday, Thursday. Friday I call all day for Monday. So I'm always making sure my schedule is packed, and that's something that I think a lot of agents, they don't do.
Mhm.
They don't have a plan. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that's kind of how I did it. I stuck to that schedule.
So you worked, right?
Pretty much, yeah. I went to work. I did the work. Yeah.
You did the work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's the secret sauce is that you do it consistently every week, and that you stick to it. I feel like in insurance, um, the people who I don't think there's any real shortcuts. I think the people who have success pretty quickly just like did what was recommended consistently. That's what I find anyway. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
I learn, and then there's usually a learning curve. It's like, dude, your first few weeks you're not going to be that great. Maybe, it's like
Oh yeah.
you're gonna learn.
You're gonna Yeah, you're gonna take, so like I always tell people with Medicare, you're gonna take a beating your first month, particularly with learning your areas, learning your plans, learning your doctors, learning the nuances of your carriers, and what they prefer as far as formularies and benefits and like how they compare. Here in Florida, I mean, I'm in the Tampa market, which is right across the way from you guys. We have a lot of plans. Like, we have like 200 and some options. Other places aren't like that. So some agents will have it a little easier where it's like, hey, you've got this option is kind of like the go-to, the best benefits or the best network. It'll be a little more cut and dry, where areas like we're in they're ultra competitive. Like there's 10 carriers that offer really similar plans. You're really nitpicking networks and formularies and like little things that the people want versus what's actually like that much stronger or better.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a weird, it's a little bit of an odd thing, but you'll figure that out. And a good training program and following up with someone who, like is a mentor can help you break down that process, like of what are you really looking for?
Cool.
I know that was a big thing for me.
Awesome. That's huge, man. And a couple consistencies I've seen, like, man, I mean, I kind of heard, I don't know, I felt like we were kind of channeling the same wavelength there because it's like, man, I'm up every day at the same time. I write down my goals. I follow a strict schedule. I'm never like, it's always like, what can I do to accomplish what I'm trying to accomplish? And working towards that. So I think a big thing for if you're a new agent listening to this, or even if you've been in the business for a little while, make sure you always have a goal that you're working towards and trying to accomplish because it gives you an excitement to wake up every day. And you know what? There's going to be some weeks where you may not hit your goal. And there's going to be some times when things happen in life where you can't. But having that target and that focus is huge. For me, anyway, it sounds like it is for Nick too. Of like,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I feel honestly, a big source of happiness for me is overcoming obstacles towards my goals. Like that's just like a big thing. It's like, dude, I'm like, oh, I'm progressing here. So take me through a day in the life of Nick then. So you follow that schedule. I know you
Okay,
said you have
so
your schedule, but what's it look like for anybody like, okay, cool, well but like how do you stay focused? What's your day look like in that case? And
okay.
yeah,
Oh, so that's really simple. Every day, get up right around 7:15, out of bed by 7:30. Brush my teeth, do everything that gets me ready for the day. Put on company swag.
love it.
Then I normally walk my dog for a full mile or a little further. Normally with my wife. She does work at home, so she ends up kind of going her separate way by that point. Normally, I'm out the door after that walk just to kind of get my day going. I take a big gallon of water with me, pack a lunch. I normally do that the night before. I don't eat anything. I'll just fast all day, depending on my how busy I am. And normally, I'll have a preset schedule. Like an appointment either every hour and a half. From 9:30 all the way till 4:30, 5 o'clock, depending on where they are and where I have to do. My appointment setter slash my admin person normally comes into the office right around 9. So my office is in my home, so she comes over and she will help handle some of my back office calls. Once my day is completed, I've ran all my appointments, I've resulted my leads, is what I'll say.
Yep.
Like, are they home? Are they going to buy? Kind of what's going on there. I come home. Once I come home, I put all my paperwork. If there's anything I need to finish up, I do it. Like do it today, not tomorrow. Get all that stuff finished up, whether it's just loading up my CRM or doing a few follow up calls or anything that for whatever reason didn't get done during the day. Then right around 5:30, 6 o'clock, I normally have a meal with my wife. She normally cooks, but sometimes we go out. It all depends on our schedules. And then I like to hit the gym. 7 o'clock to like 8:30, I'm probably going to be at the gym most days. From there, get home by 8:45. I normally like to get in my sauna. Sauna is huge for helping me feel better. Helps kind of just clear you out, helps your body recover. And then normally in bed by 10:30. Pretty standard, and I do that 5 to 6 days a week, and it just consistently chopping that wood.
Cool, man.
And that's kind of, I would say that's a pretty accurate day to day. Not the most flashy, but hey, you're making sales, and it is what it
Hey,
is.
no, but that consistency though is like it kind of I like consistency in my day because I'm not I'm on I'm kind of on like I'm doing a lot, but I'm on autopilot. Like I met
You don't have to think about it.
exactly. I do it the day before. I do it the week before. I look at it the day before, and it's like, okay, I got a map I'm following, and it's not like, what do I do now? You know?
Right. Oh, I do the whole, like I do that all. It's all preset. Normally my appointment setter will schedule my day now, which I don't have to
That's
do, so I
huge.
have an extra 2 days in the field. Um, but I'll have my leads the day before, and I can literally look right at them and say, all right, this is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to be. This is where I'm going to be. And same thing with my workout. I can literally have that planned out before I get to the gym, so I know like today is going to be squatting, today is going to be this, and these are the weights that I need to be at least somewhat
Dude, I
hitting.
do the same thing. That's so
Yeah.
cool. So um, next question kind of leads into that. So I hired an assistant pretty quickly because for me it was like, and I have a lot of people saying, well, an assistant's expense. Honestly, I paid my assistant with like cash advances on a credit card. I wouldn't recommend anybody to do that, but that's how I did when I started because I was just like, I need this. I know I'm going to invest the money, whatever, I'll make it back. Now for me, it's like I take anything that isn't like if I can make more money in that time period by paying someone else to do a different task, then I do it. So like for Nick, it's like I'm sure those 2 days in the field more than pay for like the whole week that you have or a good chunk that you have your your I don't know how many sales are made there. I'm probably not accurate. But anyways, having an assistant helps you make more money. Even though it's an expense, it's not. You can write it off and you make more money. So when should a new agent, do you think, hire an assistant for appointments? How would the schedule look like? Stuff like that.
So that's a really good question, and I always say it's a pretty simple answer. The biggest thing you have to look at is what kind of agent you want to be. So, like, I know guys right now that have, 700, 800,000 clients. They are just a one man shop, and that's their whole growth, which in Medicare, 1,000 clients is a great earning. You're a $250,000 a year guy without even thinking with your renewal. But you have to handle all that work, and you're not
It's
really
insane.
growing. You're not really growing.
It's
And
not
I looked
passive
at
at
it
that point
in,
because you're maintaining. Like if
yes, it's just your renewal.
exactly.
You're going to lose probably, I mean, industry standard somewhere like 10 to 20% you're going to lose for people that either switch or they die, or there's a multitude of things. But if you stay on top of your book, you should be able to really maintain 1,000 clients without having to do a ton,
Cool.
because you'll get a lot of referrals. If you're doing the things you're supposed to do, the book will almost take care of
Yeah.
itself as long as you're doing your work. But for me, so in my situation, I was like, you know what? I want to hit that 1,000 clients as fast as possible. So I don't want to wait 3, 5, 10 years to do that. I want to hit that, 3 years is the maximum. I want to do it this year,
You will.
which, I'm setting up to be on pace to sell 1,000 in one season.
That's sick.
So it's like, yeah, so it's like, I want to do that faster. So if you want to grow and be, my ultimate goal is to have 3 or 4 thousand clients under my brand. I want to make sure that I have the back office already set up, and having 2 extra days in the field. I mean, what's it cost? I don't know what your appointment center costs you, but mine maximum runs me $1,000 a week. I mean, that's like 3 sales. If I can't make 3 sales in 2 days with help, like what are we doing?
Yeah.
You
No.
know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Seriously.
Like that's just kind of how I look at it. I mean, it's part of the business. It is a business. It's not just me running around being crazy. It's
Exactly.
literally it's a
And
business.
I
It's a
love
team
that you
effort.
said that. Like, what type of agent do you want to be? Because when I got into insurance, it wasn't like I want to be an insurance agent. It was like I'm going to learn sales, but I want to build a business. That's kind of how it was. It wasn't like I want to be a one man show forever. Did I have some good weeks? Yes. I mean, was I going to be the top producer ever? Probably not. But I didn't want that for myself forever. Like I had like 6 months to a year where I sold pretty well, and then I was like, okay, boom. Like actually, it's even before a year, I was like, I want to grow a business out of it. It sounds like you're looking the same thing. So what I got to is like my assistants now. I mean, I didn't sell it. I probably sold 5 policies last year. They were all referrals. So now I just teach other people how to sell policies. My assistants are all for recruiting leads, right? So it's kind of transitioned to where I had the appointment setters, 100% I had this lady, I don't even know how she did it. I had this lady cold calling out of a phone book massage parlors when I sold fully underwritten. And like all these businesses because I'm like, oh, they get paid cash. Maybe they want to get whole life. I did that, but it kind of transitioned. Um, so what Nick was meant by that is like, what type of the agent do you want to be, right? And
It's huge. I mean, because if you don't want to do that, like, you can be a one man shop with Medicare, and like, my production level is not crazy. Like, there are people that write more than me, but
still good though. It's
the
really good.
reality is I did it in a very sustainable way with just me myself. I didn't use the appointment center until,
Mhm.
a couple months into this, when I was like, hey, I could free up 2 days or more. Because think of it this way: if you go out during the week and you sell, 10 to 15 policies, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you should be following up with those people, normally that week within the next week, and then in a couple weeks or a month later, those calls add up quickly,
Hmm.
and every single person wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
So I had like a couple hours where I was sitting there just making my follow up calls, like, "Hey, Miss Betty, it's Nick again. I'm just reminding you XYZ is going on. It was great talking to you. I hope you're excited as I am to work with you." And then she wants to tell me about a story about the Roaring Forties, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm here,
I know how
like
that goes.
super, yeah. And it's like there's nothing wrong with that, but if I could outsource that to someone
For
else,
sure.
I could be meeting new people and making more
Yep.
sales in that time period.
Agreed.
So it makes a huge difference. And like right now, I can tell you, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like you're gonna have days where you don't sell well, or like you have a lead issue, or you do something screwy, or something doesn't work properly. You mail a new area, which I'm dealing with right now. I just ordered leads from I did a new county, and it did not return well. So I just burned up some money, and I still have to pay my appointment setter, even if I don't have appointments for her to set.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just a sunk cost. Like
Exactly.
I'm eating that, but I need that person because, as just like today, she's going to be calling doctor's offices to schedule appointments for me to go in there and introduce myself and say, "Hey, I'm your local guy. If you ever have anybody that has questions, or did you know this? You're in this network. Just little things like that. Like they don't even know half the time, and it's like I could be wasting 4 hours sitting here calling through a phone book, or I could have her handle that, and I'm out there, physically meeting these
Yep.
people.
Making it happen.
So it accelerates that relationship. So it's definitely it all depends on what you want to do and how you want to run your business.
Cool, man. Good stuff. So leads into, hey, what do you do for leads? A lot of people getting in, they're like, oh God, I want to do this, and then I think so. This is what I found is like a lot of people want the cheapest lead, but I found sometimes the cheapest lead ended up being the most expensive lead because it took me like forever to make a sale, and then it was just this ridiculous downtime. So what do you do for leads? What do you recommend anybody new looking to buy leads or anybody do experience who's running into a tough time?
So this is something that I wish I would have started a little sooner, and I'm going to talk about kind of like two heads of this business. Direct mail leads are the bread and butter for Medicare and Medicare Advantage, mainly for a compliance standpoint. It's very easy to say that this person filled this out and sent it to me, so they raised their hand undisputably and mailed it
Hmm.
back. There's postage, so it meets all your compliance requirements. The other thing is it's high intent, just like you just said. They know they filled it out. They walked it to the mailbox. Miss Betty can't say, "Oh, I didn't send it." Well, there's your signature right
Yeah,
there. Here's your address. Here's where
with
it
your
was
little bunny
sent.
stamp on the top right.
Yeah, exactly. Like exactly. Here's your American flag
Yeah.
stamp that you got. Yeah, we know. And it's true. It's like terribly true. But their leads are expensive. I mean, right now, most of your vendors are running you $500 for 1,000 lead drop. Well, you're going to be lucky to get 1%. Some of them guarantee it, but some don't. If you get more than 1%, then I would say that's like the jackpot. Like that's a lottery. But certain areas, like in Tampa, I know right now, if you're going to hit Pinellas County, you're probably going to get 0.5% to 1% if you're
You
lucky.
think it's just
So
saturation?
that's yeah. Well, there's agents everywhere in the market's different in when you're in a big city
Yeah.
because people don't look at their mail,
Ah, yeah.
and you're talking $50 for one lead. You got to make it happen.
Yeah.
So it's definitely tough, but I recommend direct mail is what I use. I'm venturing into now other lead sources like looking at the Facebook leads, or even looking at the final expense side
Yep.
where you could sell final expense and then come back to them with Medicare because they are compliantly your
Yep.
client. You could bridge that topic with
For
them.
sure. And I can show you and anybody listening to this, I have a YouTube video. It's how to make final expense Facebook ads. From people have commented, said it's the best video on YouTube for that. And then you can use the
It's
same
solid.
thing for, thanks. You can use the same thing for, I mean, I don't want to recommend anybody to make it out of Medicare because I don't know the compliance of it. You probably would, you can't mention Medicare. You probably have to say something, but whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you can use that to as like a back end to kind of grow the book of business too. So if anybody wants to learn that, you can check that out. I recommend if you do Facebook, you make them yourself. Don't spend 25 bucks. You go to make them yourself and answer them when they come in. So, but Nick's doing direct mail leads, lead drops. I always said if I was to go sell Medicare or final expense in the field, I would buy direct mail leads, and it's just super super high intent. But that's good advice to anybody who's in a city who maybe run into some issues. Maybe they pick like if they're willing to travel, maybe pick like a more rural county to do a mail drop in. I mean, I can only imagine. There's, Central Florida, there's in northeastern
Huge.
Florida, and people there are like pretty nice too, from what I found, like
Oh yeah.
nicer than where I am.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. Like you have to drive a little bit normally, or you can fly. Like I
Yeah.
know guys that if they live, if you lived in wherever. I know a couple guys that live in Texas that they'll drive 8 hours to another side of
Hmm.
Texas to go run leads because there's just not many agents
Yeah.
there. There's just not much competition. So it's like you got to weigh that in and out. And then the other thing I was going to say that I wish I would have definitely started from like day one, and this is a problem in the industry because you can get overzealous. You get overexcited. You think this is amazing. Because a lot of agents fail, and doctors know this. So when you go into a doctor's office and you introduce yourself, like, hey, I'm Nick. I'm your local Medicare guy. I see that you're on the formulary for a couple plans. I'd love to chat with you about that or whatever. And you're trying to get them to be kind of like your referral partner because if people have questions, even if you can't help them or write a plan, the doctors normally don't know the carriers as well as you
Hmm.
do, so it gives them an easy
Yeah.
resource. Well, the problem is they know that 90% of the insurance people will fail, so they don't feel comfortable until they've seen you
Oh, yeah.
a couple of times
Gotcha.
you know
That makes
and that's
sense.
easy. Yeah, that's easy business to try to generate. It just takes a lot of work and it's a slow build.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you're planting a tree today for it to grow into a tree in the next 6 months, year, 2 years.
I love the tree
And
analogy. That's the way I'm looking
that's
at it.
that's the only way I can explain it. It's not fast, but it will work. I know, like in my local market right now, there are a few offices that I went in where they're like, "Yeah, XYZ is our person. Thanks for stopping by, but you don't have to come
Yeah,
back."
that's what we already
And I'm
have. They
like,
already have someone.
exactly. And it's like, I want to be that person because I know that they're getting people literally referred. They're calling them, "Hey, can you help me with my Medicare? 100% compliant, I have a question or I have an issue." And then they're calling you. And it's like, you can't beat that. I mean,
No,
it's an
yeah, for
automatic.
sure. Heck, Pinellas County, maybe there's in the maybe some like med spas. I don't know. I know that's a thing
Yeah.
for even though there's
Yeah.
not like I don't know. Just a thought. So if
Yep. That's hard work without getting paid.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
you're
It's
going
an
to be,
investment. It's like you're waiting.
yep.
Yeah,
Yep. But you could be 6 months to a year before you even see, any fruit from that.
yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people don't realize is Medicare has a really weird like cash flow to the
Hmm.
business because as time goes forward throughout the year, you get paid less money until AEP, and then you don't make any money until the next January.
Okay.
So it's a tricky. You gotta really pace yourself. Where like with final expense, you sell it today, you're getting paid pretty
Either
quick.
tomorrow or the week after, depending on which
Yeah,
IMO
which
you're
is
with. And yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
But also, it's not a, it's an interest-free loan. So new agents run into this situation where they think, "Oh my God, I got all this money," and then months 7, 8, 9 hit, and their chargebacks are like, you know, crazy. So that's a thing. That's a thing too. But yeah, it's a quick payout and quick cash up front. So that's good for anybody. For Medicare, there's going to be the delay there. Now, if you restarted in insurance tomorrow, you kind of maybe mentioned a couple things, but what would you do differently, and what would you keep the same?
First things first, I would definitely learn how to sell final expense first so that I could be, cash flow positive pretty easily. And then there's so many opportunities that when you meet people in the senior market, they're the same people that are buying Medicare Advantage, Medicare supplements. They're normally the same people that are buying, final
Yeah.
expense. So I know I've left a lot of money on the table, but I tackled, it's kind of like the elephant, how do you eat an elephant? You strike one bite at a time. But I kind of took like the harder bite first because now final expense learning, it's a little simpler. And I've already got a relationship. I already have a book of business to call to,
Yeah.
talk to them about these things. Or if I'd have went the other way, it probably would have been a little easier starting because it'd be like, all right, I've got plenty of money. I bought my leads. I can make my money quicker, and it would help keep me a little more cash flow regimented instead of looking at it like I have to wait till the beginning of the next month to get paid because time's running out, kind of
Yeah.
thing. I would do that for sure. I would always order my own leads. I know a lot of FMOs offer lead programs and stuff like that. You don't want to rely 100% on an FMO. You want to be able to at least put some of your own money into it, mainly because it will keep you accountable. A lead that you bought is going to be worked a lot harder than a lead that was given to you.
Oh, 100%. We run into that here. All of our agents are provided all their leads
Yeah.
so yeah.
And that's a big one. I would say really those two things. I would have learned final expense first, and then I would have really focused on always purchasing some sort of lead, whether it's even a Facebook lead or anything like that. Just purchasing something so that you have some skin in the game and that you have extra leads. Because, as you know, more leads you have, the more opportunities you have to make sales. You never know, if it's a good batch or a bad batch, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. The more times you take swings, the more opportunities you have to hit the
That's
ball.
it. And I think one thing that's huge for anybody listening to this, I see this in my agents all the time. I sold final expense in the field, and I'm sure if you're selling Medicare in the field, running appointments. I mean, I've never sold Medicare, so I don't know. But this is how it was for final expense. I mean, I'd be in a house I would be quick. Like I would be direct to the point. I would influence them and give them the information they needed. But like some people, when they get into telesales, they'd be on the phone for like 90 minutes. And it's like when I was running a bunch of appointments, there was absolutely no way. It was like 20 minutes. It's like, you want it? No? Cool. I'm on to the next because it's that volume there. So I think what he's saying is like it's a law of large numbers. Like you're gonna have a day where you
Yes.
blank, maybe 2 days, but you know that it's
Oh yeah.
it's rolling. So like I recommend any agent on the phone, dude, if you can get 7 presentations a day, like you're gonna have a good week. Like it just doesn't even like because so many people are you don't even realize it. They're like, I'm buying insurance today, and they're not gonna tell you that when you walk into their house, right? They're like, I'm getting a plan today. And so it's just the numbers of like, hey, there's some people who are like, I'm not sure if I'm going to get a plan today. And then that's where the sales skill comes in. But if you're new and you work enough people, you're going to get enough laydowns that it doesn't even really matter because I tell new agents that I'm like, dude, read the script. If you present to enough people, someone's going to buy because they already wanted it before you called. So
Yeah,
that number thing's
exactly.
huge.
And that's a little different with
I'm
Medicare,
sure.
so very similar. I don't recommend like with Medicare, you're not there to sell them
Hmm.
anything. You're there to either help them with something that they already have, or they already want something. Like you said, they're predetermined. I want
Yeah,
this, and you're just there. They're just there to buy it from you instead of from someone else
cool.
or a random person that calls them on the
Hmm.
phone for 1-800 Medicare or whatever. Like some company that they think might be the actual
Yeah.
medical benefit. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all you're there to do. You're there to just help them. And then, like, I get people all the time that, they may want something different. And unless they really want it, I'm going to tell them, hey, this might not be the best option, Miss
Cool.
Betty. I think you're in a great spot. I'll leave that alone because it's not worth selling a
I do the
plan to
same thing.
someone, even though they want it, if it's on that
Yeah.
fence, because you don't want to create a problem or a client that's going to call you 10,000 times and, hey, why is this happening? And it's like, well, remember when I told you this wasn't a good
Yeah.
idea, but you told me you definitely want it? And I literally write on my paper, like, you want this. I recommended other. Please sign here.
Yeah.
So like they know, like, I was against this idea, but hey, you give them what they want. If they
Yeah.
want it, I'll write the plan, but just I make it very clear that this may not be a good idea if it's not.
No, exactly.
Or if it's really bad, I'll just leave. I'll be like, hey, you know what? Call somebody. I don't need this. I don't need this service work.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I get it. And like I would run into that sometimes in final expense. People be like, oh, I can't afford my medication, but I want a $60 a month policy. I would be like, I can't write you that policy. You have COPD, you can't breathe, and you're not buying your inhalers. I don't feel right selling you a policy.
yeah,
I'm moving on. You know?
it's not gonna serve you or
Yeah,
them. So
no,
it's like
exactly.
it's not gonna help.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's how I always look at it. If you do the right thing for
Love
folks
that.
and you try to be like, of high moral and
Mhm.
ethics, you'd be amazed how many people will they'll either get it or they'll instantly refer you to someone else. Be like, hey, I know you can't help me, but I really appreciate you telling
Yeah.
me that. No one's ever done that. Go talk to my sister or my best. They'll have the sister or brother call me directly. And it's like, perfect. That's exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, the information bank approach to selling works well. I like that on the phone, telling people, look, I'm just gonna get you some information. You don't have to do it today. And obviously I want them to get something that day,
Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
but it's like, people kind of appreciate that. And then if you also too, this is huge. So if you're working enough appointments and enough leads, like you're not gonna, at least I hear this in me, like you're not gonna sound as desperate and you'll be able to do that. It's like cool. Like I got so many people that are waiting that it's like, you know what, I don't have to feel desperate to try to like, strangle this lead for like every
yeah,
drop of juice and maybe end up doing something that's not in the client's best interest, which is going to hurt my business in the long run.
yeah. That's absolutely correct. And that's what I always say too. Like, you could be the most like lousy
Yeah.
salesperson, but if you're running 5 appointments a day, 5 days a week, that's 25 appointments.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm closing at like 70% on these. So
Jeez.
if you say you're literally lousy, like you're lousy, you can't do anything right, and you close at 30%, or you close at 10%, you're still going to sell two or three policies. Like,
Yeah.
even if you're terrible, two or three policies over the course of a year is 150 plans,
Exactly.
which, we're renewal based. So 150 policies, yeah, it's going to take you, 5 years to get a good foundation, but in 5 years, you're a six-figure renewal without even thinking.
Oh, that's insane. And
Yeah,
like, and I
yeah,
same thing, same with that. I tell new people, I'm like, I don't tell them this, but it's like you're not really that good right now, right? And that's
exactly.
okay. I wasn't when I started either, but it's like it was like I was just like, okay, I'm gonna make a ton of calls. I'm gonna hit a ton of doors because someone's gonna. And Grant Cardone's big on that. He's like, build your pipeline, and it makes sense. He's like, I don't care how good you are at sales, build your pipeline. If your pipeline's big enough, like you can be terrible at what you do and still make money. So I'll move on to the next question here. Who is your biggest cheerleader in your life? Who's the biggest support for you?
Biggest cheerleader is absolutely my
Love
wife.
that.
I say Ashley. I think you've
Yeah, yeah,
met her
yeah, I did.
before.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's huge and instrumental to like most of the things that I do. Just because I'm not the best with technology, so when I have a question or a problem, I'm like, "Hey, tech department, I need some
I love
help."
that.
And that it's really, she's very motivating 'cause she's very successful with what she does. She works in the technology industry and is a director of a company,
Awesome.
at 30. So she's definitely like, hey, you need to do what you need to do.
I
And
love that.
sometimes it's almost like she's a general, like, hey, get out on the field, like you need to go, versus a cheerleader. But yeah, she's very very supportive, and like, we work a lot, but it's geared towards building that life and that
Oh,
goal
dude, when you
of
retire, when you're
eventually we won't have to work. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's awesome.
And I'd like that to be sooner rather than later.
Yep,
I don't want to work until I'm 70 years old or 65, and what was the point? We
exactly.
didn't enjoy it. But yeah, and then of course, and I also will say this: my appointment setter admin person, just on a good, just completely dumb luck, an absolute luck hire. That I had someone that wants to work
Mine
hard,
is too.
has talent, and then is also like on me, like, hey, she'll call me sometimes and be like, hey, you didn't sell much this week. Like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, aren't I your
I
boss? Like,
love
how does
that.
this work? Like,
That's super cool.
yeah, yeah. So, yeah, and of course, always my family's been, pretty supportive as well. Even though they don't understand insurance or
Yeah,
what I do, they think I'm some sort of like, wizard or something. They're like, how does he make money? Like, I don't get it. I'm like, because I don't work a 9 to 5
yeah.
job. But it's like, hey, it works. Um,
Sweet man. So
but yeah.
so like in terms of, because I know I've run into this. I'm sure a lot of people run into this when starting a business. Um, how like do you and Ashley like have similar goals together? Do you guys line up in that sense? Do you guys kind of get on the same page? Because it's like sometimes it can be a catch 22. It's like, hey, I'm really working hard to have this future, but if both people aren't aligned on that same vision, it can be pretty catastrophic to a relationship. So how do you guys do that? And then what do you do to make sure that when you have your alone time, that it's time for you guys to enjoy the time that you have together? Um, what do you do? How do you guys do that?
So again, really, really important. Like you said, you have to be aligned. You have to have your life and your partner's life need to be relatively mirrored, and they have to be together. You can't say one person's just going to be a monumental success and the other person's not going to do anything.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying they can't be like a stay-at-home husband or
Yeah,
wife. I'm simply saying they have to have something in their life that they can focus on as well. because there's a lot of time where you're spent working or busy, but you also have to have, there has to be a reason for it. Like, I need to make X amount of money so that I can get to that point where I'm retired and we live a life at the level that I'm used to, you know what I mean? Or that I want to get to the next step. And you have to have that understanding that yes, we are sacrificing some time together so that we can have a better
Yep.
life. And that, we must do what we must do to get there. And I think one of the other big things is having time together. Like, I spend a lot of time with my wife, most of the time. Like, she's around a lot. I know a lot of people, it's like they're in a relationship and they see their significant other like an hour a week. And I'm like, how is that even possible? If you guys live together, like, I come home from work, she's
Yeah.
there, like it's very odd to me, but I think that's really important. Like, we go to the gym together, we eat dinner together every day, we walk the dog every morning. Like, we spend time together. And the big thing is to put this away, turn it off or leave it somewhere. That's again, a beautiful thing of having an assistant. She can take these calls and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Beneficiary, please call the number on the back of your card. She can say that just as well as I can. So,
Yeah.
why have me do it when I can spend time with my wife?
That's huge, man.
You know,
Awesome.
I think it's very important. But, like, again, having a lot of interests that are similar. We like to go to the gym. She loves to cook. I love to eat. It's like a good thing. But I don't know how else to explain it. You have to make time with that person and go do things. Go on dates. Go on trips, even if they're short. I mean, we live in Florida. Like, Disney's an hour away
Yeah,
from me.
for
I
real.
think I don't know how far it is for you,
Few
but
hours, but whatever. Two and a
yeah,
half, 3 hours.
yeah. Go there for the weekend, and it's like it lets you get away from your day to day grind. But without that grind, if you don't work hard, you're not going to enjoy when you have time
Yeah, for
off.
real.
And I always find that amazing when people are always like, how do you work so much, or why do you work so much? I couldn't imagine it. And it's like, well, you also, like, I may not see you like at the music festivals, but I also don't see you at the
Yeah.
bank.
I mean, I
You know
couldn't
what I mean?
imagine
Like,
not having any
you know
money,
what I mean?
you know?
Like, I don't see you going to do these
Yeah.
things. Like, it's because you can't afford it because you didn't go to work. So you're always off. So if your life's a vacation, what are you bitching
Yeah,
about?
exactly.
Like,
For sure.
I don't know. That's how I look at it.
No, me
Like,
too. You know,
yeah, like,
cool, bro. Awesome. Thank you for that. So what are your goals for your future in the business? What are you planning maybe the next year and then the next several years? Like, what's your longer term vision? Because for me, it's have an insurance company. That's like one of my goals. Like, I want to be part owner of a life insurance company. So, how about you?
no, that would be amazing. I've said it forever that making my own product would be amazing. Whether it's Final Expense or Medicare. I know there's a few companies that just entered the market here in Tampa. I don't know what that would entail to start my own provider, but it'd probably be a
Commit
nightmare for
first, figure it out
Medicare.
later.
Yeah, I'll say it'd probably be a nightmare for Medicare
You
because
hire
there's so
someone.
much compliance and so much service. But ultimately, my goal, so for this year, I want to sell at least 750 policies, which would put my total book over 1,000, without question. And my true goal is 1,000 policies from now until December 31st. So I have the year to do that, and I'm currently a little bit behind on pace. But anytime you're behind, it just means you have to work more and be more consistent.
Yeah.
And then ultimately, I'd like to get my book to be in the 2,000 to 3,000 range, depending kind of how I do my business model. The one that I really want to do, I think would work best for me here in my area, is I'll probably do like the LOA model, where I'll have a few agents that are directly under me that handle my book, really handle my referrals, handle my business here in my Tampa market. And then ultimately, I'd like to take on, I'd say 20 is my number in the next year, 20 agents that are not here locally right on top of me, and train them to sell Medicare and Final Expense in their markets,
Awesome.
and slowly build out my team that way.
Sick.
But I don't really want to take on a ton of agents.
Hmm.
I'd rather it be, I'd rather it be like, 20 men and women that want to do this
Yeah.
business. They're going to work hard and they're going to produce. I know there's so many companies now where it's like they just recruit every Tom, Dick, and Harry
Hmm.
and hope somebody sells something. And it's like, I don't want to do that. And that's
Yeah.
why I've even considered charging people like, hey, you want to work with me? It's going to cost you, $2,000 just for me to take your call.
Yep.
And if they're serious, Like I was, like I paid for my training,
I
and
did
people are
too.
always
I
like, "What do
I
you
paid
mean?" I'm
mad
like,
money for my training, dude.
they're
Like,
like, "What do you mean?" I said, I paid my upline for training. I flew to where they live
mhm.
because they don't live in my market. I rode with them for a week. Like I donated time and
Yep.
money to learn this business, and I think that's huge because that means they're serious.
Yeah.
We have insurance licenses. We sell one of the most awesome products that everybody needs, and you can get into the business for the cost of the license, which I mean, what is it? Like, it's $140 for AHIP for me, and like I think it was 150 for my Medicare or for my life and health.
Yeah. All I needed
It
for
was like
final expense, all you need is your life and annuity. That's it. And then
yeah.
that's it.
So I mean, yeah, you're literally able to write business for less than 500
Hmm.
bucks. It's like I think that's the problem is that people they don't have that commitment. Like, yeah, I spent 500 bucks. If I lose it, whatever, it's not that big a deal. Or if it's like, oh, I'm going to lose 2,000 bucks. Now it's like, I really need to, I need to get on this because that's a big investment.
Yeah, I think like what helped me is that like my first year in insurance was really hard. My first year and a half, I did not have nearly as fast a start as you did. I was in crazy debt when I built my team. I was like, I'm gonna get 20 people that are super focused, but I realized I'm gonna have to go through like I'm literally gonna have to interview 20,000 people to find the 20. Not maybe not that many, but like
No, I
I
get
have
it. It's a numbers game.
yeah. So like I had people come and go. I was in crazy chargeback debt, crazy debt for building up, starting everything. So my first year, or first, well, that was really my second year in the business was really tough, but it was what kept me there. Two things I think was I had a point in my life that was crazy low that I don't think anybody would, most people would never, hopefully never have to get there. And then also focusing on like the longer term picture of it, where it's not like because this isn't a job. I think people get into insurance and mistake it as a job. It's like it's not because if you look at it like a job, you want the immediate like instant gratification, and that's just
Yep, today.
not insurance. It's like you did it fast, and I know some people that hit the ground running doing it. But some of the guys I know who have the largest team, two of my friends that have very large final expense teams, their first 2 or 3 years in the business, they didn't do like anything, so like part time or terrible production, had no clue what they were doing. So it's a slow start for a lot of people. Nick's an exception there, where he's just kind of like crushing it right from the beginning. But yeah, so cool. So Nick, winding down here, how can people? I know there's some other questions here. We can ask them in another session. That's cool. How can people um, uh, for new agents getting ready for their first AEP? What can a new agent do for their first AEP?
Well, first things first, follow my YouTube channel. It's the Man Sales System. So check that out. I'm going to go through videos of exactly what I do. And I'm pretty much going to give away my playbook. It doesn't really matter to me if you know what I do. The question is, can you do what I do? And it's that simple. And I'm going to go through that stuff. But for get ready for AEP, the biggest thing that I would say is that the 6 months before AEP is when your AEP is built, particularly depending on where you live. So, like in Florida, we get a lot of SEPs. We have a lot of 5-star plans. We have a lot of things that let you make sales year round. Other places aren't like that. There are certain areas of the country where AEP is the time to sell, and you should be seeing people all year and basically taking their names and putting them in a file, following up with them and saying, hey, Miss Betty, I know I met you in February. Remember me? Da da da. Well, we talked about XYZ. Now it's the annual enrollment period. Have them sign the little paper that says you have the right to contact them, and go out there and do it. Same thing with your final expense people. If you have final expense that you've sold all year, you should be following up with that people, following up with those people no matter what, just because that's good business, and then mentioning to them, hey, I know we talked about your final expense. I also am, a Medicare broker. Have you ever had your policy reviewed?
Hmm.
They're already your client. That's the easiest time because now AEP, you can move anybody for any reason. You want to set that up months in advance. AEP for me started yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on what I need to do this whole time so that when AEP comes, it's like a floodgate. Like everyone that I couldn't move or had a problem or had a supplement or whatever the issue was, well, now it's the time.
Cool.
And that's how some of these people can write. I just met a guy yesterday. He wrote like 600 policies in one AEP.
God.
That's 50 days. Like, that's absurd. Well, that's not because he's calling leads and buying direct mail.
It was
It's
ready to go.
because he's on 10 preset appointments with people that already know him, and he's in and out in 20 minutes
Yeah.
because he already knows exactly what to do, and they've already been in contact.
Awesome. That's sick, man.
Yeah, so it's that would be my biggest advice: is start your AEP today, so that when October gets here, you're ready to roll.
Gotcha. Sweet. All right. Hey, Nick, thank you for that, man. Definitely gonna keep in touch, guys. If you want to get in touch with Nick, check out his YouTube channel. Man, I know it's Man Sales. Is that what
Yep,
the channel
it's
name? Yeah.
M.A.N. Yeah,
Cool. Awesome. He has an awesome channel. He's building it up. Some sick content on there. It's going to help you guys crush
yep.
insurance sales, crush sales in general, even if you're not in insurance or you're thinking about getting into it. You can reach out to Nick. Nick, what's your email?
It's at Nick Vanella, so just at my name, NickVoneloa. And as far as my channel goes, my Instagram, there's also a Man Sales Instagram. It relates to anything sales. So
Cool.
my background before I got into insurance was home improvements, in-home one-call
Yeah, yep.
close. I did that for years, and that's part of what I attribute my success to.
Cool.
Was I was running 5 or 6 appointments a day for 10 years before I got into insurance.
Sweet.
So it just kind of
Yeah, it
became,
was a
this is the new appointment that I'm running.
okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, 'cause
You know,
I sold cars before, so it was like, getting the rejection was like whatever.
yep. On to
On to
the
the
next.
next.
Okay.
No means
Yeah.
next opportunity,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
Cool, man. Well, hey, Nick, thank you so much, bro. And yeah, guys, if you have any questions, like I said, check Nick at Nick Vanilla on Instagram, Man Sales on his YouTube channel. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to help you with that, with anything that you need.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I mean, you guys are doing big things over there on the other side of other side of Florida. So I'm always like, I'm gonna have to stop by Vero Beach and say what's up.
Trying, man. Trying, yeah, for sure, for sure. And guys, if you stay tuned, after this video, there's going to be another video that's going to be a successful agent story. Thank you.
All right, man.